And now we're continuing Algebra 1, Section 8.1a. This is the Part 2 video. This one will be pretty short, but I didn't quite want to slam it all into one. So this is kind of a new concept. You maybe are familiar from previous classes, so I will try not to take too long. But basically, a box and whisker plot is a plot showing you how spread out your data is, and it uses the median, the middle of your data, and also things called quartiles. And that basically, you find your data, you split it in half to find the median, and then you look at the lower half and split it in half. You're really finding the middle term. You're not doing mean or anything like that. So you make sure you line up all your numbers and find the middle. And that's called the first quartile. And then you take the second half of your data and cut it in half, and that's called the third quartile. Now, why are there only a first and a third quartile? Well, what these three numbers do is break your data into 4 chunks, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where the word quartile comes from. And this one here is the first quartile, and the second quartile actually has a name. It's called the median. So we don't call it the second quartile, but that's really what the median is. It marks the middle. And then the third quartile cuts the data into quarters up here. We also have our minimum and our maximum shown. So you can tell in a box and whisker like this that the data is fairly evenly spread out. It's a little bit tighter together here in the first quartile, so there's more numbers kind of crunched in here, and then they're pretty evenly spread out. So we'll take a look at what some other numbers do. So how do you make a box and whisker plot? First thing you need to do is put those numbers in order. So take your list of numbers, write them in order. So pause the video and see if you can do that and not lose track of any. I highly recommend write it down, cross it off. So 2, 2. I did this earlier, so I'm going to see if I can make my list. If you want to pause it and get your list on there, that would be great. 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. There were 3 8s, 2 9s, and then a 12, 13, 14, and 15. If you're not sure if you missed any, because there's a lot of numbers there, I highly recommend counting how many there are here. There are 18 numbers here. And then check yours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, to make sure you have 18 of them. Okay? If you don't, you missed one, you really need to check because it's going to mess up your entire thing. So now what we need to do is we have a minimum and a maximum. We're going to use those numbers down here in a minute. We need to find the middle. So since there are 18 terms, I'm going to split this after the 9th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chop. So I like to draw a line there. That's where my median is. So my median is 7.5. Okay, and that splits my data in half. So now I'm going to take this first half of data over here, and I'm going to split it in half. Now I know there were 9 terms, so 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th term, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th term from either side is going to be your quartile 1, first quartile. So usually when it comes out to a number, I circle it, and if it's in between 2 numbers, I draw a line. This one happens to be a number. All right, let's try this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be my 5th term from either side. So this is my quartile 3. Now I have all the numbers I need to make my diagram. It's very important that you don't just like evenly space these out. You actually might want to put like a number line on here. So like if we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and numbered all those off, we could start making our box and whisker. So let's mark the low. So the low is at 2, and I'm just going to put a dot here, and then this will help me draw my box in a little bit. My high was 15, so that's why I stopped at 15. My median was at 7.5. Quartile 1 was at 4, and quartile 3 was at 9. So in order to draw your box and whisker, the whiskers are on the end, and then you draw a box around the middle with a line right down your median, and then this end is another whisker. So you can kind of see from this box that the data is really chunked up and clustered here in this area. And you can see from our numbers that there's a lot of 8s and 9s. And that's what's going on. They're really close together. And then all these numbers on the end here are really spread out. And there's a little bit of repetition here at the low end as well. So that's what this shape kind of tells you when you're making a box and whisker. So we have one more example here to look at. And I'll let you go ahead and put those numbers in order and see if you can find quartile 1. Well, we're going to find all these things. The minimum, quartile 1, the median, quartile 3, and the maximum. You need those 5 numbers in order to make a box and whisker. So pause the video now and find those numbers and then come on back. All right, the minimum, the lowest number in this list is 11. Quartile 1 comes out to 13. The medium is 14. Quartile 3 is 18, and the max is 23. So from this, you can make a graph. You might need to change the scale, or just maybe let's just start at 10 and go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I just shifted my scale over. We can do that. So the minimum is at 11. The quartile 1 is at 13. Median is at 14, 18, and 23. And then we can draw our whisker, box, and whisker. And we've got that. Now there's one other question on here that I forgot to answer on the previous question, but it is, what is the interquartile range? And so interquartile range was not defined earlier, but all you do to find that is subtract these two numbers. So the IQR is the interquartile range, is Q3 minus Q1. In this case, it's 18 minus 13, which is 5. It also doesn't say this, but if they asked you for the range of this data, you just take the max minus the min. So the range of the entire data is 23 minus 11, which is 12. So these numbers span 11 different numbers from high to low. But the interquartile data, where half of my data lies, is within these 5 numbers. So the interquartile range can be useful, and we will use that some more coming up to find some outliers in the second part of the lesson, which is 8.1 Part B.